So the leaves are finally on the ground, which means of course it's fall time. So if you're looking for the best fall fragrances, stay tuned because I got you covered. Hey, what's going on? Hunter here and welcome back to my channel where I upload weekly fragrance content. So of course you know what to do. Hit the subscribe button down below and also make sure to follow me over on my Instagram page. But that's correct, guys. I'm bringing you my top 10 fall fragrances for 2023. Now, to be honest with you, fall is by far my favorite season to wear fragrances because in my head, what we're gonna be looking for is of course woody fragrances, spicy, earthy, resinous, boozy, gourmands, etc. And those are by far my favorite categories when it comes to perfumery. So this ranking isn't necessarily like my favorite's gonna be number one. It's more so like what I'm most excited to wear this year, like some new fragrances. And it's also gonna be a mixture of designers and niche combined in this top 10 list. So let's not waste any time and get right into number 10. Coming at number 10 is actually a new designer release that just came out this year from the house of Viktor and Rolf. And it is of course Spice Bomb Infrared, and this is the Eau de Parfum Flanker. Now, to be honest with you, the original Infrared, I kind of overlooked it. It didn't do much for me. This one though is outstanding, guys. Almost took my favorite spot over the original Spice Bomb within this collection because this one is truly really good. It has a burst of these kind of pink, kind of red spices. I believe it's chili pepper and pink pepper, but of course it dries down to that kind of signature Spice Bomb DNA. This one though is a little bit more airy, which makes it work perfect in, of course, the fall time compared to maybe the original Spice Bomb or Spice Bomb Extreme, which works the best in my opinion, the winter time when it's snowing outside and like below 0 degrees. So yeah, this one's coming at number 10 and cannot wait to wear this one more. All right, heading into number 9 is another new release that just came out and probably one of my favorite designer releases this year alone. It is, of course, Tumi's 19 Degree, which is getting a ton of hype lately. And it's much deserved. Of course, I did review this one not too long ago. You can go check that full review out. But yeah, this stuff is absolutely incredible and a very unique kind of take, especially for being a designer fragrance. And I think this works perfectly in the fall time because it has this very dark, fruity nuance to it, which is of course that black raspberry note that's in here. But you also get this slight smoky birch, you get some leather in the base as well, a little bit of suede, and some spicy saffron, and just all together makes for a complete unique DNA. Perfect for when the weather is starting to cool down, and this, guys, the performance is incredible. Of course, it is an extrait de parfum. Easily lasts you all day without having to reapply it or overspraying or anything like that. Just great performance and great scent profile, and that's why it's coming at number 9. Number 8 is a fragrance that could have easily been higher on this list, but I have owned it for a few years now, but it still had to make this list regardless. It's a staple for the fall time. Of course, it is Tom Ford's Oud Wood. In my opinion, if you're gonna get one Tom Ford for the fall time, it has to be Oud Wood. This just literally smells like fall in a bottle. Very spicy. Well, not very spicy. You get hints of spiciness in here along with that nice oud. It isn't too like barnyardy or earthy where it's kind of off-putting. Just a very kind of great, high quality, entry-level oud for anybody that does want to dive into that note and is a little bit hesitant. I would absolutely recommend Oud Wood. And you will get compliments with it also because of how unique it smells, how different. A lot of people have never smelled anything quite like this. The only downside is, of course, that hefty price tag of around $300 retail for a 50 ml. So this is gonna be for the kind of person that doesn't care about spending money. They just want a good fall fragrance that is gonna be versatile, can pretty much wear all occasions during the fall time. Absolutely have to get Oud Wood. Number 7 is going to be for my barbershop lovers out there. Of course, when you think of fougere barbershop fragrances, it's more targeted towards like the springtime, possibly fall, but this one is by far probably one of the best fall barbershop fragrances I've ever smelled. And it is sort of new. I picked this up in a recent vlog that I did, and it is, of course, DS and Durga's Burning Barbershop. Now, just think about that name for a second. What would a burning barbershop kind of smell like if a barbershop burnt down, which is the inspiration behind this? That's exactly what it's gonna be. You're gonna get that creamy, very almost lactonic lavender note in here, a little bit spicy as well, along with this burning sensation, which I'm not exactly sure where they're kind of creating this accord from, but yeah, very smoky, almost campfire-ish, along with the creamy lavender. There's also a nice mintiness to it. Just all in all, one of the most artistic fougere barbershop fragrances I've ever had the pleasure of getting my nose on. And if you can find this discounted, I absolutely highly recommend this one for any barbershop fragrance lovers that are looking for a staple for the fall time, because this one is gonna do it for you. Coming at number 6 is hands down my favorite vanilla fragrance within my collection, at least, and an absolute must for the colder months like fall, and it is, of course, Nishan Ani. Beautiful, spicy, peppery vanilla in here. I think you do have that pink pepper note that works alongside it. Very woody, especially once you get in that base with a heavy dose of cedar wood. But primarily to my nose, you are gonna get this very creamy, spicy, authentic smelling vanilla note that is just so delicious, guys. Like when I smell this, it's almost mouth-watering how delicious, slightly sweet this fragrance just comes across. And I think what's making it so sweet and delicious is, of course, that vanilla alongside that sweet resinous benzoin that you're gonna find in the base. And it also has this very uplifting, zesty ginger upon a first spraying this. Just a very well done, beautiful vanilla fragrance that I probably could not live without after finally owning a bottle of this. And being a Nishan, you're obviously gonna expect this stuff to perform all day easily. All right, getting into the top 5 fall fragrances, coming in at number 5 is what I considered a masterpiece when I reviewed it, I think 2 or so years ago. I had this in the collection for quite some time, but still absolutely love this fragrance. And it's none other than the Blue Beast itself, Amouage's Interlude Man. Whew, what can I say about this beauty right here, guys? Herbal, green, creamy, smooth is all the characteristics you're gonna get with this. You do have this very kind of different oregano note in the opening of this. Makes it very green and herbal, but it dries down to a phenomenal incense, like a very kind of warm, smoky, resinous incense note along with a creamy vanilla. And honestly, this can be polarized into a lot of people's noses if they haven't ever experienced anything quite like this. But once your nose kind of develops and gets trained a little bit more, you'll come to appreciate this scent profile just like I did. One of my favorite fragrances, especially from the house of Amouage, and I consider this stuff to be an absolute masterpiece and a staple in my fall rotation. Coming at number 4 has got to be one of the classiest tobacco fragrances I've ever smelled, and it's coming from one of the classiest houses, so you come to expect that, which is of course Houbigant, and this is the brand new Tobacco Nomad that just came out a few months ago. And man, oh man, if you love classy fragrances and you love tobacco, which usually don't always go together, this is gonna be for you. You get this very well done cherry pipe tobacco vibe, along with a nice rugged, slightly animalic leather note in the base, with a very well done green, earthy patchouli note that's dominant as it dries down. And if you know me, patchouli is one of my favorite notes of all time, and it's done perfectly in this fragrance. We also do have a patchouli favorite coming up in this list that I cannot live without, so stay tuned for that one. But back to Tobacco Nomad, fantastic. I love this house so much. If you're not familiar with Houbigant Paris, they are known for creating the first fougere ever made, which is of course Fougere Royale, which came out well over 100 years ago. So yeah, they're known for class, elegance, and they hit the mark with this take. Now in the top 3, so coming at number 3 has got to be probably the most mysterious fragrance on this list, perfect for maybe like a Halloween day. But yeah, it is coming from the house of BDK, and this is the Gris Charnel Extrait. So just look at this bottle. If you already know the original Gris Charnel, this is just a more kind of masculine take on that in my personal opinion. You're gonna get this black fig note, black tea. You're also gonna get this lipsticky iris note. So for those iris lovers out there, you're gonna absolutely adore this one. Probably one of my favorite irises in my collection, to be honest. Very waxy and lipsticky. But you're also gonna get this sexy, spicy cardamom, a very seductive fragrance at that as well, along with a bourbon vanilla that adds a slight booziness in the base. Just when I smell this, it almost smells like something a vampire would wear. I don't even know how to explain it. It's just very dark, very mysterious smelling, and just perfect for like a fall evening, especially around like going to maybe Halloween events or something like that. Is the perfect vibe and situation to wear Gris Charnel Extrait. Number 2 is the patchouli fragrance I talked about a little bit earlier. One of my favorite patchouli fragrances in my collection by far, and it is Tiziana Terenzi's Urza. I have raved and raved about this fragrance, but I do have to let you know this is a very daring, dark, kind of patchouli, dried fruit, dusty, oudy fragrance that does actually come across very barnyardy. So if you don't like barnyardy ouds or very earthy patchouli fragrances, this is not going to be for you. However, if you do like that stuff, this is an absolute must in your collection, especially if you ever smelled the fragrance by Kilian Straight to Heaven. Take that fragrance and add a barnyardy oud to it and you get Urza. Straight to Heaven is actually probably my favorite by Kilian. I do own a bottle over there. It's a little bit more boozy than this. This one is obviously darker and earthier, but it's a very similar DNA. Just whenever I'm really in the mood for that authentic patchouli, oudy fragrance, I always reach for this. And it's crazy because this actually came in at number 2 in my last year's fall 2022 video. So I still love this one, still gonna be wearing the crap out of it, especially during this season. So highly recommend checking out Urza. Finally, coming in at the number 1 spot, it's by one of my favorite designer houses by far, guys. I've collected so many fragrances from this house within the last year, kind of went over the top with it, to be honest with you. And this is one I haven't gotten to wear that much because it's well better suited for the colder months like fall and winter. So that's why it's coming in at the number 1 spot, because I cannot wait to wear this one more. And it is coming from Louis Vuitton. You might know what it is. It's the one and only Masterpiece Ombre Nomad. Of course, if you've been into fragrances for some time now, you probably know all about Ombre Nomad. It's a very fruity, raspberry, oudy fragrance. Almost has this kind of like chocolatey nature about it as well. And to me, what's different from a lot of people's takes is a lot of people consider this to be a rose oud. For me personally, I don't really get much rose in here. It's more so that fruity raspberry, but I'm pretty sure rose is actually used to make the raspberry accord, but it does come across very fruity, but not like a sweet fruit. Just kind of like more of a dark raspberry that works perfect alongside that slightly dark barnyardy oud, but not too much, where it can be very kind of unpleasant to a lot of people. It's not really the case. I can see people really enjoying this one. And you also, of course, get some smoky incense and a spicy saffron. So it's mostly, to me, is that oud, spicy saffron, smoky incense, and that fruity raspberry, and it just makes for a beautiful composition. And it's also, of course, made by one of my favorite perfumers, the man himself, Jack Cavalier, who actually also made Tom Ford's Tuscan Leather, which is another raspberry dominant fragrance, along with leather, of course. So he definitely knows his way around the raspberry accord because it's outstanding the way it's done in here. And don't even think twice about performance, because this will last you easily 12+ hours of longevity, even into the next day a lot of the cases. So yeah, coming to number 1 is the Masterpiece of Louis Vuitton's Ombre Nomad. So that's gonna do it for my top 10 fall fragrances for 2023. Of course, let me know down below some fall fragrances you guys are excited to wear or you